Started in 1 minute. All right, good morning. It's 10:31. We will get this answer hour started. I'm Brad Morse, the program director for the Work Comp Modernization Project over the campus system. And on the call with me, I have Angie Andreessen, the business analyst for campus. And she works with the Department of Labor and Industry as well. And I believe I have Richard Davis or Brian Mack from ADR on the phone. And they'll be able to help assist with some of those legal questions that you're asking. Just some housekeeping. We want to make sure that everybody, we want to have a conversation. Everybody asks their questions. Please put your questions in the chat, and we will answer them. And as we go through the presentation, this session is recorded. So if so as everybody knows, this is a recorded session, so you could refer back to it. If you have members of your team that were not able to come, they could refer back to this session if they wanted. All right, with that, we'll get started. Next slide. Okay. Yeah, the agenda is going to be what we normally do. We have a release. We had a release last Thursday, so a week ago. We'll talk about that. Talk about some known issues. We'll have some question and answers, and then we'll talk about upcoming sessions. Next slide. Okay, so for legal professionals on 12/3, so there was a typo in the Affidavit of Service that's been corrected. The Notice of Appearance, Step 2, that people were having trouble getting stuck on when you're trying to file a Notice of Appearance, that was corrected. Opening a petition web form and add other party issue has been addressed. And then the Office of Administrative Hearings, OEH cases, are now viewable in the campus system. So those were all fixed on 12/3, and so you should be able to continue to use those. And then we'll talk about some stuff that we know is we're having some challenges with. Slowness in the calendar functionality. It really has to do with us trying to grab all those cases from C-Track as well as in campus. So it is putting quite a load on the system to do it. We're working with the technical engineers to see if there's any way to speed up the process, or if there's anything we can do to make that functionality a little faster, because I think people think it's not loading because it does take up 30 seconds to load that page. And we want to see if there's any way to speed up that without compromising any performance on either system, because those are real-time calls that we don't want to jeopardize that. Missing documents on prefer not to see disputes, and this is where I sometimes need to have some people help me out. Apparently there's some missing document types or missing documents on that that we know is out there. And the service of process designee is not being included in the service list. That is a known issue that we are working to address rapidly. Delays with the certification requests. This was something that the system is put ADR behind in their ability to get out those services, especially on the certs. The issues have been corrected in the system, but there is a pretty big backlog back there, and they are working very diligently to get through those. Hyperlinks and emails, direct to page not authorized. Yeah, we heard that a few times in the past 2 weeks, and it's been an issue since the beginning, but we're really starting to hear it now that people are starting to swim out of it, especially with our VRU staff in the department. So we are working on getting that corrected. Legal support unable to view access related attorney cases. This usually is on migrated cases that were started before campus. That's where we're seeing this the most. We've sat down with a number of law firms where we've looked at the association, and for the most part, we found that it is an issue with the migrated cases, which would require people to file that notice of authorization or notice of appearance to get those legal assistants to appear on the case. Intermittent document upload issues. We've been seeing some of that. We have not. Like I said, it's intermittent, but for the most part, we've sat down with folks, we've watched, and we haven't seen this. But we do know they're out there because it's being reported. So we're just working with people to figure out what that is. And then the review document button not functioning. And then at the bottom of this, we have the locating WIDs, so that tells you how you can look up WIDs. So these are some of the known issues that we have out there that we're trying to correct as many of these as we can with the release today. Some of them are obviously a little bit more challenging. Legal support not able to view all files with the attorney on those migrated ones is a much more technical and legal challenge for us to do. So we're working with ADR and our Office of General Counsel and the technical team to look at some solutions on that to see what we can do on that. But that's something we know we're still looking into. But most of these we want to try and figure out and get resolved today. So tomorrow we will have our email that went out. Everybody got that. I know it went out Monday or Tuesday. It says kind of what was in this release. We want to try to get those release notes out as soon as possible so people understand what is working and what has been fixed since the last time we talked. Because this answer hour is on a Thursday, we do have most of the fixes going in tonight. So that will be, you'll see that tomorrow. So with that, I want to turn it over to everybody else and say, do you have any questions, comments, anything before we jump into the Campus Central page?
Brad, I don't see anything in the chat right now.
Okay, well, let's keep going. We can keep having a conversation here. I want to say thank you to, first off, to everybody who has let us sit with your firm. We have appointments tomorrow as well, and we will continue to do them to make sure we get these issues resolved as soon as possible. We find the best way to actually do something is to sit there and watch you do it with the the data and the permissions you have, so that it's easy for us to determine what behavior is in the system. For Campus Central, so the Commissioner's Office has added quite a few resources in the past 2 weeks, and you probably haven't seen a lot of change yet, but they have added a number of resources around communications and getting these pages updated in a timely manner. It has been something that we know we've been a little deficient on, and we want to make sure that from a communication standpoint that we have all areas covered, from the central page where you could go to it and see things, newsletters, release notes, and then also obviously these answer hours. We want to make sure we have a multi-pronged approach so everybody understands what's going on and when stuff is fixed, because we have been seeing, we've been fixing things, and then people will still ask, is that still a problem? Maybe it was fixed, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, people haven't been trying it. So we definitely want to keep that going and keep these communications going. Like I said, the Commissioner's Office is taking this over, and we are really going to really make this robust and get you what you need. So we're going to start with just basic communications, getting them out in a timely manner. Like I said, getting the release notes out, but then getting starting with the Campus Central page and things like that, getting them up. So this is the page you can go to that has information, especially if we send out an email, a general email to everybody about, for instance, like how to find WID or Any communication from the department will be put on there. And then go there. So I saw something pop up, Angie. Did a question come through?
Yeah, we've got just a couple of questions. So the first one is from an admin. Um, she still doesn't have the ability to file through campus, but is starting to file under the attorney's account. She's filed 2 notices of appearance and needs to make sure that it was correct. Essentially, filed the injury report. So I believe there are requests for information, or not request for information,
Ooh.
request for assistance with a unreported injury, and hasn't received a response. Just wanted to confirm that that is the correct process. And Brad, I apologize. I did have to mute everybody because we were getting some
Yeah.
background noise.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, thanks. I'm trying to parse that question. It's got a number of items in it. I think first we need to make sure we need to figure out why she's not able to log into campus and file in campus. That's the first piece of that needs to be settled. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the question. This is why I don't read the questions as I do things, because it really slows up the process here.
I just to chime in a little bit, I believe that this is the correct process if you're sending those guidance with an unreported injury. I can
Yes.
follow up with CRT. I know that they are typically going to be the unit that's dealing with those, so we can follow up with them again. I know that was an outstanding question from last week as well. Meg, I did go ahead and ask you just to send me your email address and your firm information so I can make sure that you're set up correctly, because you should be able to file. Next question. When we file a notice of case settlement with OAH through CTRAC, does campus also know that the case is settled, or do we need to file a document within campus? The attorney that this person works for had received an email from the employee's attorney's office asking us to notify campus because they still saw the hearing date in campus.
Yeah, you don't actually have to file that with us. Once a document is filed with OAH and they do their processing on those documents, they then come over to campus, and then it will will be considered filed with the department. If you're seeing the hearings still in campus, that that's something we could talk to our partners at OAH on, because that's the hearings are something we pull from CTRAC. We don't pull them from campus. So we can maybe if you give us that exact example, we can see just the sequencing. But generally speaking, once you file that settlement and then they process it, the hearing gets canceled, and then the settlement comes over to us.
Great, thanks, Brad. Next question. Will notices of conferences eventually go to the paralegals and legal assistants instead of just the attorney?
Yeah, they should be going there. Is this on a migrated case, or is this on like one that was initiated in campus?
I'll take a look and see if Pamela can provide that information.
But yeah, I mean, just so everybody's aware, we know that the issues I brought up earlier of the migrated cases where the paralegals and legal staff are not associated, that then yes, they would just go to the attorney. The if it's initiated in campus and you've already had your group set up, it should also go to your paralegal.
Thanks, Brad. Next question. When will paralegals be able to file on behalf of the attorneys and not use the attorney's accounts? That should be occurring now. You should be able to do that as long as your relationships are set up correctly. Sheila, if you don't mind sending me your email address, I can take a look and see if your group is set up correctly, but you should be able to do that. Next question. We have an administrative conference next week and the claim is not showing up on the attorney's dashboard. This morning I filed a claim access authorization. Is this the correct process that will give us access to our client's current claim? So in that instance, I think you would actually want to file your notice of appearance. The notice of appearance should give you pretty immediate access. The claim access authorization is going to take a little bit because it needs to be reviewed by compliance. So if you are representing that employee for that date of injury, you can go ahead and file the NOA, and it should give your attorney and then any of their related legal admin staff access to that file. So going back to Pamela's question, she believes that that was a migrated case with the notices of conference.
Yeah, and that's why it's just it's that known issue we have. And like I said, we're going to work this week. We have a meeting today, and then we'll pull together some people and try to get out what the resolution can be and when. It may be something we can't fix immediately, but something we could slot for a fix later, just because of the complexity of doing it. We don't want to break anything while we try to do that new development. But yeah, we definitely will look into that, and we will have some more updates for sure by next answer hour.
Great. I don't see any other questions right now in the chat. So I'll go ahead and push the schedule for next week.
You saw Angie put out a schedule for next week that we have an answer hour on Tuesday. And this, we really want to discuss, the releases that are coming out tonight. So you have a couple days to work with those releases and then give us feedback, because we want to, our goal really is to get the system stabilized so that we can start to look at some of those pending items that are new development that we want to start to look at and see, when can we get people an idea of when we could do this work. New development's very difficult to do while you're trying to stabilize a system, because you're introducing more risk into the code base. But once we get this thing stabilized, we're going to start doing that new development. So thank you for everybody helping us. So some of you that we've worked with in the past or that's willing, we're going to reach out on Monday and just see how things are going. Maybe have our team sit with you again for a half hour and run through some cases. That's been very informative, so we appreciate that. But so we'll be talking on Tuesday the 15th.
Thanks, Brad. I just wanted to add, I didn't add them to the calendar just for lack of space, but I did go ahead and put out short group administrator answer hours for each of our groups as well. So there will be a 30-minute one on Tuesday following the law firm answer hour for this particular group. If you're a group administrator, feel free to attend that answer hour. And it looks like we've got a few more questions. Is there a tutorial video that navigates you through the system when served document types of documents like RAF, response, and noise? Sheila, if you can provide a little bit more context to that, if you're just wondering where those would be located within campus, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think to answer a question though, I don't think we have direct tutorial videos on those specific examples. I think we have the generic example of service and things. So if there's a need, we can take this down as an item we can look at for the future to start building our library of training, or at least library of videos.
Thanks, Brad. So Meg, in response, you mentioned that when you tried to file the NOA, it told you the individual was already represented and asked if you were filing a substitution. That still seems to work if your attorney is on the file. But if you want to send me a private message with that claim specifically, I can take a look and see who is included on that file. This is specific to downloading documents. So just to advise, if you request prior work comp records, there are a bunch of documents under the claim. If you push the download all button, the documents will not be downloaded to your computer. They will be sent in an email. So I'm going to check that process just to make sure that that is functioning correctly, but we can create a short reference video for that as well.
Yeah, and the theory behind that, if you're trying to download like a large body of documents, it will send the request and then it puts that into a different type of folder in the system. So when you go to that email, it actually, that's where you're pulling it out of, is that folder. It doesn't download it directly to the browser. It actually batches them up and sets it for a download for you to pick up when it's ready.
Thanks, Brad. Next question. A medical request was filed through campus, but we didn't receive the notice of conference. If we are the filing party, why was the office omitted from the notice of conference? Is this an issue? It was filed last week. Victoria, if you can send me a message with that dispute number, I can take a look at that and see why you didn't receive it.
Yeah, and if you could also copy Richard Davis on that, just so he can also look at it.
Yes. And Brian, thanks for clarifying on the substitution question. Some of our attorneys are still running into issues where the mediators or specialists are not locating documents and attachments filed. So I believe the last time we were running into this issue, those were actually being filed to the incorrect disputes. But if you want to send over those disputes where you're seeing those issues, we can troubleshoot and see if we are getting them sent to the correct dispute. I called the help desk yesterday and they took my name and email. I have not received an email indicating a ticket has been generated. Should that be coming?
Yes, I believe so. That's something I know that they've been really diligent about doing. What was the, can I just ask, what was the issue?
Yeah, I'll have Meg, if you can follow up with that in the chat.
Yeah.
Next question. I filed a request for cert of medical dispute with a couple separate disputed bills. As of now, I have not received a certification. The client just sent a couple of additional possible disputes. Can these be added to the existing cert request, or do I need to file another cert request? Brian and Richard, I think I might need you for this one.
This is Brian. Hi, Angie. If a request for cert has been filed in campus, it should be able to be amended. If it maybe there's another bill that came in or something like that, there shouldn't be a problem adding to the additional certification. So just like before, you shouldn't need to file a new separate request for certification.
Great, thank you, Brian. Let's see here. How to answer them step by step by clicking on what to go under to respond, those types of videos, more specific. So Sheila, we'll definitely take that down just to try and get some more quick reference videos up. I am not sure if I understood the opening comments about the calendar correctly. I opened the calendar and started a timer. It has been 15 minutes. It's still not loading. Is there a step that I'm missing? That, I believe, is an issue that we're working through with the calendar.
Yeah. The opening comments were around the events that were put back onto the calendar because we had a security certificate that was not working. But yeah, we know that there's the load time on the calendar is long, but 15 minutes, that's something you might want to capture her name or their name and get this time to see what's going on with those calls, because that's not a good experience right there. That should be much lower, even though it is. We know that there's some slowness. That's a little too much.
Alex, could you just put your email in the chat and we can follow up? Next question. So this is just a clarification. It was mentioned that paralegals and legal assistants should be receiving the conference notices along with their attorney. Can you please clarify this? I thought this only happened if the paralegal and legal assistant had a service of process designee permission. And I believe that is correct. I think it may have been misstated. It would be the service of process designee and the attorney who receives that.
Yes, I apologize for that. I had in my head, I was looking at a name that I know was a service of process designee, and that's what I was thinking when I said that. Apologize.
All right. Next question. When the notice of appearance or retainer is being filed and there is no case created yet, we are told to contact the front desk. Should we email the front desk with the NOA or someone specifically in ADR?
I mean, I don't know, Richard or Brian. I think they would talk to somebody in ADR, correct?
This is Brian. So we're talking about a situation where no claim is coming up when they're trying to file an NOA, I think. So in a situation like that, if it's not pulling a claim, it could be that there's some information which is maybe a digit is off or a letter is off, and that could be causing the problem. And so you could certainly give us an ADR a call and we can work through that with you. If you're sure that the numbers are right, the letters are right, everything's being typed in right, then what's likely the situation is that the claim just is not reported in campus, so a FROI wasn't filed. And in a situation like that, you've got a couple of options. You could either do the request for assistance with an unreported claim. That's one of the one of the filing options, that which essentially is a way to get a claim in as an alternative to a FROI. Or you could tell the employer and insurer, file the FROI, especially if there's lost time involved. Or you could, if you think they're simply not going to file it, you always have the option to file a claim petition. But the way to get a FROI, to basically get a claim into our system as an alternative to a FROI, would be that request for assistance on an unreported claim.
Thanks, Brian. Next question. Are there any updates on a workaround that has been discussed in the last few meetings, like being able to mail or fax things if the website isn't functioning properly?
Richard, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here. Short answer to that currently is not at this time. We don't have a tangible update to offer, but we will certainly keep folks posted. I see that we have another answer hour set for Tuesday. What we can do is make a commitment to bringing some information to the group at that Tuesday meeting, because I know this is an issue that keeps coming back up. So we can address that at the Tuesday answer hour.
Thanks, Richard. Next question. When the help desk finally calls me back, why are they telling me that they can't answer my question, offering no help and ending the conversation? I think we can certainly take that feedback to the help desk. Brad, do you have any additional comments on that?
No, I agree. That's something we'll talk to them about. I know that they've been working on their processes, and typically, if there's enough information to identify what the problem is, a lot of these questions go to another group that have a little more expertise in that, and that's what they're relying on. But yeah, we will take that feedback and talk to help desk.
I would say the same thing that that Brad just offered, that the help desk is able to help with some direct answers, and if it is above them at their basically the first level of an inquiry, then they are going to be referring it to whatever more detailed unit can handle it, whether it be my group here in ADR or the VRU, for example, or the CRT group. So the help desk will, on a number of occasions, need to forward it on to a more of a subject matter expert group.
Thanks, Brian. Next question. I filed a notice of appearance on behalf of my attorney and it was accepted. I am still showing 0 open claims in my overview. Shouldn't this case now be showing up? Betsy, did you file that from your own account or did you file that from the attorney's account? That might give us an idea. Next question. We've been trying to file a notice of appearance. We log in, we click access the case, file the NOA, enter the last 4, date of injury and employee last name. We click next and the system logs us out. I get logged out every time. Jennifer, if you can send me a message with your email, we'll try and get a meeting set up to see what you all are experiencing via WebEx. Let's see here. There's a request for the link regarding the upcoming admin answer hours and the answer hour for the 15th. I will double check. It is possible that our communications department hasn't sent those emails out quite yet, but I can certainly check and see if we've got links for those.
Hey, Angie, Betsy did provide an answer to her question 1 or 2 questions ago. She said she filed it from her own account.
Okay. Betsy, I will take a look at that and make sure that everything is set up correctly. We may need to set up a meeting with you all as well just to see what's going on there. Ellie, you mentioned you're having the same issue as Jennifer, where you try to submit and the website doesn't do anything. Question from last week that didn't get answered. What is the process after we file the request for guidance? I believe that we sent that over to our compliance staff so we can follow up with them on the answer for the business process surrounding that.
Mark, can you take a note that we need a communication item on that?
Yeah, and sorry, I was typing the notes down. What's the communication item?
We need to send a communication to attorneys on, did you say a request for guidance or?
When they file the request for guidance, it creates the claim shell. I believe that then at that point, compliance would request the EDI.
Yeah.
So just wondering the process on how they are notified of that.
Okay, so
Okay.
all right, I will get that in the tracking and get those communications out.
Thanks. Just some additional feedback for the help desk. So Stephanie will pass that along. Is there a fix coming for the upcoming events and new documents boxes on the main dashboard to show those updates that we are receiving by email? Mark, if you wouldn't mind taking a note on that, we can dig into those.
Sure.
Okay. Let's see here. When filing and serving something through our attorney's account, it will only allow the affidavit of service to be signed by the attorney when the attorney isn't involved in serving the document. So the reason that that's occurring is because you're logged into your attorney's account. Campus is going to require the service to be signed by the account that is initiating the service. So if you do that through your own account, you should be signing your own name. If you're using your attorney's account, that is why it is requiring the attorney's signature. Debbie, why is everyone in our firm that does WC getting emails from campus and not just the attorney and assistant who did the filing? Debbie, we'll need to look and see. You may have everyone set up as service of process designees for your firm. If that's the case, everybody would get notified of legal service of those documents. And that is the end of the questions that I'm seeing right now. Brad, Richard, Brian, any other comments or questions that you all have received?
This is Brian again. Just a last comment on Debbie's question. Hi, Debbie. Yes, it does look like in the Lynn Jensen firm, everyone's got that service of process designee permission, which is not, and that would be everyone except Tricia, and that's why they would all be getting copies of those things.
Thanks, Brian. I'm encountering a problem with people unable to access the documents. I would assume that that's probably if you're receiving a notification of those documents via email. We do have that logged. That's a known issue. So that is likely the issue that you're running into. Is there a way that when you get a notification in your email as a service of process designee that you can click on that notification and it takes you directly to campus so that you don't have to go in and check every notification? We can follow up on that one. I believe the way that it should work, I believe, is that it should take you directly to the linked issue. But I know we are having issues with the email links right now, so that might be the problem there. I can test that on my end and see what I can figure out. And Cheryl, you just mentioned that you're still waiting on a response from an email last week. So
Yeah,
we will-
Cheryl, I don't recall seeing a message from you. If it somehow got lost, I apologize. I'll go back and I'll check to see if there's something that maybe I overlooked, but I don't recall seeing anything at this juncture. My apologies still. I'll dig into that.
Thanks, Richard. And just a comment from Debbie. Thanks, Brian, for checking that for her. Next question, how can we check who in our office has the service of process designee permissions? My legal analyst and I are both administrators, but she can't review my documents. So Alyssa, you should be able to just look in your My Groups. And if you click on each person, it'll outline who has the service of process designee permissions. As far as reviewing the documents, if it's something that's in a draft or something that you filed, they wouldn't be seeing it in the My Forms queue. They would be able to see it if they have access to the claim or case that it was filed to. Emails, case access granted. Who are these supposed to go to? So Ellie, if you're getting an email that indicates that case access was granted, it should mean that whoever received the email now has access to the outlined claimer case. So you shouldn't have to send those any further. It just should be whomever received that email. Is there an easier way to access a claim rather than scrolling through the list of claims at the bottom of the screen? For instance, is there or will there be a search button to search by last name or file number? You can actually filter by last name or claim or jurisdiction claim number, I believe. So bear with me just a second. I will get into my attorney account and see if I can demonstrate that for you all. While I'm doing that, I will go ahead and go through the rest of the questions. So Tina, you mentioned it seems that you all are getting duplicate notices regarding claim access granted, so we will take a look at that. Do we have access to the mediation polls after they have been submitted? If we get notified that some dates are not available anymore, how do we contact the mediation, or do we contact the DLI mediators via email? For that question, I may need some additional help. I'm not as familiar with the polling process. Mark, is that something you're familiar with by chance?
Angie, Brian put an answer in there saying that email would be fine.
Okay, great. Yeah, so you can email ADR and they can check into that. I'm not sure if the mediation polls are available after they have been submitted. I believe they are not. So Ellie, just some clarification from yours. Who should be getting those in the office? It should only be going to the actual users who are getting claim access granted. So in that instance, it would likely be your attorney who's representing on that case, and then it would also be whomever has relationships to that attorney. So that might be where you're seeing the random assistance, getting random case access. If you want to send me a few examples of that, I can take a look and see if they are related to the attorneys. And I just wanted to demonstrate just as far as filtering. So if I log in here, you can see I've got the My Claims queue. I can filter by the employee. I'm going to filter by the employee. I'll just do another. And you can see here, it just got me this employee's claim. So you can essentially filter by any of these. So date of entry, campus file number, employee, employer. That would be available in this data table. So another question, what types of things does the service of process receive via email versus the attorney and the assistants? Is there a way that the service of process receives everything and not anyone else? So the service of process designee would just receive anything that is creating an affidavit of service and is being served via campus. Unfortunately, we do have to include the actual person who is being served as well. So if, for instance, Brian and I were part of a law firm, if Brian was the attorney on the file and I'm the service of process designee for the law firm, if Brian is being served as the attorney, he would get a copy of that, and then I would also get a copy as the service of process designee. I know there was a question about permissions. This is something that we'll cover in our group admin answer hour next week, but since we've got some time, I can just run through this. Just a question about how you can check to see who has a service of process designee if you're a group administrator. So you would have to be a group administrator. You can click your name, select my groups, and it'll show the groups for you. You then click on this little kebab menu and click manage group. And then clicking through, you can see down here in the permissions, what permissions each attorney has, each member of your law firm. So you can see here, we've got a few people with service of process designee and some without, but you should always be able to tell in your permissions. If you want to remove that from someone or add it, all you have to do is click this edit button and you can add or remove permissions. All right, next one. I believe this has already been discussed, but just to clarify, can I only file on behalf of attorneys that I have a relationship established with, or can I file on behalf of an attorney in my group, whether a relationship is established or not? You would only be able to file on behalf of attorneys that you are related with. So you would not be able to file on behalf of all the attorneys in your group. You would have to have an established relationship. I downloaded all documents on a case from an email I received, but when I went into the downloaded zip file to print out the records, they were all blank pages. I'm not sure what's wrong there. Sharon, if you could send me a message just with that claim information, I can look into that one a little further for you. Ellie, you mentioned that that might not be happening. That was a known issue that we're seeing, that in some instances, the service of process designee is not being pulled into the service list. So that may be what you're seeing. I believe that there is a fix going in for that in our build tonight, but I can check on that for sure. And Robin just added a comment. Try opening those blank PDFs with a web browser rather than Adobe. So it's definitely worth a shot. All right. Well, it is 11:15. I don't see any additional questions in the chat right now. Brad, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I think we've covered everything, and I appreciate everybody for joining us and then letting us sit with them and watch how they're interacting with campus. So I just want to say thank you. And, you know, we are seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. We are seeing things getting better. And I just want to say thank you because it's, you know, with your help that's happening. So, you know, the release will go out tonight and we will start to work with you on Monday, and then we'll have that answer hour on Tuesday so we can better assess where we're at and, you know, how you're able to keep doing your work. So with that, I just say thank you.
Yes, thanks everybody. And Sheila, I did just see your question. I'll take a look at that specifically for your case on that attorney. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and we'll end a little early today. We'll look forward to talking with you all next week on Tuesday for our next answer hour. Thanks everybody for your time and patience. Have a great rest of your day.